And so our first conversation post-election, congratulations, Congressman. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. Tough-fought race. The left invested a lot to try and get rid of me, and in the process, lost 2 other seats in Pennsylvania and didn't win mine. So, but you know, if you buck the system and if you've got a big mouth and you say things that you're not supposed to comment on, they come after you, and they've come after me legally. They've tried to bankrupt me, and they've come after me in elections. And but this is the other thing I know, Chris. If you stand up for the right things at the right times for the right reasons, people recognize that, and they'll stand beside you. So I'm very honored to have prevailed, even though it was tough.
Well, can I give you a compliment? And this is I seldom do this to people who are in politics because I don't usually feel this way or mean it. But you are someone who genuinely means what you say. You tell the truth. You run on what you say, and you defend what you say, and you don't equivocate and tap dance around things. You say things, and then you explain what you mean, and you stand by them. And you're right. People respect that.
Yeah, but other organizations and institutions punish you for that, which is why I think a lot of people don't want to do it. They don't need the trouble. They don't want the trouble. And but from my standpoint, I ran for public office not to just be a public official, but I ran because I wanted to do something, and that's what I do. But there's a penalty, there's a cost, there's a consequence for that. The status quo does not like anybody that shines the light on them, and I'm one of those people, I guess. So, I get what's coming to me, but it's all good. The good Lord is great, and we're here.
Amen. And you ran a fine campaign, so you're back in the saddle, and we're going to keep calling and bothering you because I need your assistance here. I got a lot of people freaking out, wanting to know. And I keep assuring people, but I don't know Mike Johnson at all. I know you a little bit, at least professionally, and I know you know Mike Johnson, and I've been talking with you about this ever since he became Speaker. He was standing there on that stage in Palm Beach the night Donald Trump won. I noted that. I took note of the fact that Mike Johnson was on the celebratory stage with Trump the night of the victory. That told me a lot. That sent a message. They're clearly tight and in close communication, and so when people are reaching out going, Stigall, Trump keeps plucking all these House Republicans, and there's only a 217 or 218 margin, and what's he doing? And we're going to. I would assume that Trump and Mike Johnson understand the math and have a plan on this front. Can you allay some fears here, sir?
Yeah, I think they do. Obviously, we're looking at, unfortunately, in this country now in the 21st century, it takes weeks to determine who victors are in elections, and that's a whole other subject. But I think they have a pretty good read on where the House will end up, probably something like somewhere between 5 and 10 seats in the majority, probably closer to 5. But the president's aware of that, and he doesn't want to imperil the circumstance. But he's seen Mike Johnson run a House with a one-person majority. And so, and let's face it, the president's job is to put his team together and make sure things get done. And he has people that he wants in certain positions. And if they come from the House, that's where they come from. And I think they're also looking strategically, right? If you look at the 2 selections from Florida, the governor of Florida is Ron DeSantis. The special elections to fill those positions will happen very quickly. Now, conversely, the governor of New York is a Democrat, and I'm sure she's going to wait as long as possible to fill the seat for Elise Stefanik. But I think that the president is aware of that, and so he's picking strategically, but also, he wants a team assembled based on what he wants to get done, and some of those people are in the House. And you're right, we have concerns, but it's all something to be managed, and we're going to manage it.
So just so I'm clear procedurally, right now the official count, it was just certified, and we now know we are right at 218 for House Republicans. Is that, first of all, am I right on that? We are now right at 218, which means you have now been declared in control.
Yeah, I thought it was 219. Okay. We expect to end up somewhere obviously north of that. But that, one of the issues is that Matt Gaetz apparently resigned. So maybe that took it back to 218. But again, we're managing it, and there's no way that we're going to hand Hakeem Jeffries the gavel of the speaker. Under no circumstances will that be happening.
So next, the question. As these confirmation hearings progress, at least Stefanik has to go through confirmation, Walz has to go through confirmation. They have not resigned. Gaetz has resigned, so he is no longer a voting member of the House. Those two have not. Does that mean they can continue to participate in House activities until confirmation?
Until confirmation begins, yes, they will be able to and hopefully participate in House operations. So yeah, they will stay here until confirmation begins.
And if they're not confirmed for some reason, they would return to their House seat as if nothing ever happened. That's
generally how it goes. Yes, that's correct.
What are the odds that a special election could go sideways, even in a place like Matt Gaetz' district, and Democrats dump the Brinks truck that they're capable of collecting quickly into making trouble for you guys? Is that a worry or not?
It's not much of a worry. I think strategically, if you look at where the selections have come from, they are strong Republican districts. And even though a pile of money will likely pour in, let's remember, too, that these are all going to happen pretty quickly when the president is at his apex of popularity, and the party is going to be benefiting from that. So even though the Democrats might dump a bunch of money into it, look, they've got to manage their resources too, and right now they've got to protect a bunch of seats that are likely going to be in jeopardy in 2 years, or depending on what happens with the Trump agenda. So because they're going to resist it, right? They're going to resist it every single bit of the way. And the American people live in those districts too, and can't pay their bills and are walking around on unsafe streets, and they're not going to be too keen on their representatives just resisting the Trump agenda of a better economy and safer streets because he's a Republican and they're Democrats. That doesn't fly at some point, and those elections will be very costly. So, and let's also remember that the Democratic Party, for all their money, which is massive, went into debt, millions of dollars into debt in this election, and they got to raise money and pay the bills right now. They don't have discretionary money like the federal government to throw around at races that they're not going to win.
Scott Perry represents the 10th Congressional District of Pennsylvania, immediate past chair of the Freedom Caucus in the House. Mike Johnson withstood any kind of potential challenge. I guess there were rumblings for half a second about a challenge to his leadership. Those went away. He's now going to be Speaker again. What do you make of his relationship with Trump and now this Thune thing over in the Senate? That's a trinity that really has to be on the same page. Do you feel good about those three men, Thune, Johnson, Trump?
Well, oftentimes, let me say this, the Senate is characterized as the enemy of the House. Look, I know Senator Thune, from casual conversation, but I don't hang out with him. He was not my choice. That having been said, the American people see that Republicans are in charge or will be in charge of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and they're going to have high expectations. But we're already being told by senators, hey, don't expect anything from us because it takes 60 over here, and we're not going to get any Democrat votes for any of this stuff. So don't think we're going to be doing a lot of stuff. That literally, I've been told that as of last night. So I think that the president, he knows he has to work with these people, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, whether they're effective or not. He understands that. So he's trying to be as accommodating as he can be. I think his closest ally of the two, let's face it, is Mike Johnson. I don't think I need to tell you about the past comments of Senator Thune regarding President Trump. So, I think that Senator Thune will come along as he's forced to, but I don't think it's his default position to say, look, I want to move the Trump agenda. This might come as some shock to you, Chris, but I think a whole lot of the people that serve in Washington love being in Washington, but they don't really want to do what the American people want them to do. They want to do what they want to do, or they just want to be here and not do much of anything.
Exhibit A, the senior senator at present from Pennsylvania who won't let his icy cold grip go of a seat he lost, right?
Well, let me ask you this. What is – Bob Casey's been around for a long time, institutional name in Pennsylvania, et cetera, et cetera. What's the famous – one thing is Bob Casey famous for legislatively in his time in office? What is it? What comes to what immediately
cue
comes
the crickets. Yeah, cue the crickets.
I'm not trying to be negative or critical for the sake of being negative or critical. To me, the only thing that Bob Casey's famous for is just surviving and being there.
Yeah, being Bob Casey, literally. Yeah, that could be his own documentary.
Casey, having the same name as his dad. That's what he's famous for. Look,
$1 million. I mean, Scott, it's going to cost Pennsylvanians $1 million to recount this thing. Can you believe we're about to do this?
There are still ballots to be found. We're in the 21st century, and, 10 years ago we would know the day after election who won everything. But now in the 21st century, it takes weeks to determine this stuff, and who knows where there can be a truckload or a carload of ballots found, somewhere in Pennsylvania, right? Who knows that? So we got to go through this. Look, I can't be more highly critical and dissatisfied with the election system in Pennsylvania. That's nothing new, but that's up to our state lawmakers. I weigh in every single time I can. But if anybody really honestly and sincerely can go out with a straight face and say we have a good, efficient, and effective, trustworthy system, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to everyone you're speaking to.
I'll ask you one personality question. I'm kind of loath to do it, but I have to ask. The Gates thing. Everyone's head is on fire about Gates. Now, I think it's no secret Gates is a bit of a pain in the ass, and saying a bit of is not that's probably friendly. He's been let's say disruptive, and many people love that about him. To what effect? I've always kind of questioned it, but Trump clearly wants the guy as AG. My position is whatever I think or don't think about him, it doesn't matter. Trump wants him. Trump trusts him. Everybody assumes everyone hates Matt Gaetz, and there's not a snowball's chance he gets confirmed, even by a slim majority of Republicans. Can you explain, and now that he's resigned, he's out of Mike Johnson's hair. I bet Mike Johnson's thrilled to see him go, quite frankly. But let's just talk about Matt Gaetz honestly for a minute. What do you think?
Matt Gaetz is one of the he's one of the quickest wits and the greatest intellect that I've ever met. He is fast. He's got a lot of depth, and he gets right to the point immediately. He's an exceptionally capable person, and he just doesn't suffer fools well, which is why he doesn't make a lot of friends in Washington D.C. I don't know how else to say that, but that I think is the fact that he's considered a pain in the rear end. God bless him. I hope somebody is, because we have these elections, Chris, where we change things. We want to see a change because we're dissatisfied with things.
That's
and
right.
Matt Gaetz is dissatisfied with things, and he's trying to do something about it. Well, most of this town is satisfied with things because it serves this town. It doesn't serve the American people. And so when the president selected him, I thought, well, this is great because you know what? The revolving door at the Department of Justice or the Department of Defense or the Department of anything, I got a news flash for everybody. The revolving door of nepotism, and when I say nepotism, I'm not talking family nepotism. I'm talking about we hire somebody from Big Pharma to be in charge of the CDC, and then we wonder, well, how come this drug didn't get approved and that one did? And I had no idea. He's hiring. He wants to hire somebody that will actually make the organization do what it's supposed to do instead of what it's been doing. Don't we all want that?
Yes. And so, to me, if Trump sees that this, in my opinion, I'm speaking for Trump, but I would gather he believes this post to be as important as the rest of us see it as being. Like, maybe there's nothing more important than who the next attorney general is, since he's been at the end of their gun barrel, proverbially or literally, for years now. This matters to him deeply. This is not a throwaway appointment, you don't think? This isn't some sort of gamesmanship, 4D chess or something?
I think that the president has got a plan and is going to fight tooth and nail to put Matt Gaetz in there, because the president understands the awesome and irresistible power of the federal government when they come after you using your tax money to persecute you. Matt Gaetz certainly understands this, and Matt Gaetz doesn't probably have any allegiance whatsoever to any of the people at the Department of Justice. I don't think he would go. I don't believe he would go over there with a chip on his shoulder and just say everybody's got to go. But here's the good news. He's not going to go over there and, well, you're my friend, even though I think you're a bad actor, but we played golf together, so I can't do anything about it. He's just going to go in there and say, are you doing the job? If the answer is no, you're out. And if you're using and abusing your authority here, which is an unbelievable authority that the federal government has to prevail and persecute the American people, not only are you out, but you're likely to be under indictment, because we don't serve the federal government. It's supposed to serve us, and it hasn't been. And you need somebody that doesn't have all these long-standing close relationships to go into a place like this. I mean, all these people that revolve through that door, that most of them, not all of them, but I think many of them, it's a career step. They want to make relationships. Then they go out and make money, interacting with the very same agency they just came from. And then they go back into it, rewrite some regulations. They're the expert. Then they go back out to industry and make more money. It's all a swamp. And Matt Gaetz is the anti-swamp. He's the quintessential anti-swamp. He's the perfect person to have that job.
All the right people hate him, which makes me excited about him, quite frankly. Yes.
Right.
So I'll let you go on this question, Scott Perry. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and the DOGE wing of government now, the Department of Government Efficiency, they say, Elon has said on the campaign trail he thinks he could find $2 trillion to cut like that. Now, I don't know, but you guys control the power of the purse. That's what you guys in the House are responsible for, is spending. Do you think it realistic that they can identify waste, fraud, and abuse, really? And do you think you can get the House to go along with making cuts?
Okay, yeah, I think two-part question. So I think they can find the $2 trillion probably in 20 minutes, maybe even less time than that. That's quite honestly easily identifiable. The other question, getting the House to go along with any of that. Look, I've been here for a few terms now. I don't see any way that they're powerful people. They're smart. They're influential. This place doesn't want to spend 1 cent less ever. I mean, it's been my whole career of fighting this overspending of our tax dollars and dollars that don't even exist. And unfortunately, we've been only marginally successful on occasion for a temporary moment. But at the end of every single cycle, we spend more, which is why every 100 days we're creating, borrowing, encumbering ourselves with another $1 trillion that doesn't exist. So identifying it is not the issue. Finding a solution to reining it in is the problem. And there's not one Democrat I know of that has ever voted for less spending. And there's a whole bunch of Republicans that continue to vote for more spending on every single opportunity they're given. It's just a reality.
So there's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. If it's already being spent, you don't see reversing course. Yeah.
No, well, I wouldn't say that. Look, the president is an overwhelming force. President Trump is a person like no other, and he's got a strong mandate. And if he can galvanize the American people towards that goal, then I think we might see a different paradigm. But I don't think that Vivek and Elon Musk themselves and just identifying it is going to be enough. We can identify it. We have identified it in the legislative branch. I mean, there are many of us that have identified the waste and the fraud and the just plain abuse and the spending on things that government really should have no role in. We've identified that numerous times, so many times you can't even count. The question is can you get this legislative body to vote to actually spend less money? And so far, no one else has been effective at doing that. No one else.
Scott Perry, I'll let you go. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, has tweeted this morning at 3:30 in the morning Mind you, he posted, "Congratulations to the Floridians being appointed to key positions in the Trump administration, Rubio, Gates, Walz. I've instructed Secretary of State Cord Byrd to formulate and announce a schedule for upcoming special elections immediately." So,
well, there you go. I actually didn't see that, but you're not going to see that from Kathy Hochul in New York. But that's the difference between Republicans and Democrats, right? That's the difference there. So keep your fingers crossed. We're going to manage it. We're not going to let this thing get out of hand. But we've got a whole lot of work in front of us, and it's going to require the leadership of President Trump to force some of these rats into the corner to do what needs to be done.
Congratulations, Congressman. Thanks for your perspective as always. We can't wait to continue to talk to you.
Thank you. Have a great day. God bless you.
All right. So there you go.